because the other guy didn't exist. Okay, Weibo being able to perform the highway robbery very, very nicely. And 2,000
NT Anh
gold is the
Khánh
lead,
đã
and it
gửi
is
5.000
slowly
đậu.
but surely
Meta từ Kép trở đi liệu có khác phòng Thụy
DK,
Sĩ không anh
they're
sáu
gonna have
tem.
to make
Lo
a
cho công nghỉ
proactive
lâu
play
quá lại
to
dễ
get
chốc quá.
themselves a lead.
Nhớ trước con này vừa khỏi này.
Towards Paris, keep themselves in the tournament.
Nhưng thì năm trước người ta có kinh nghiệm rồi nên chắc năm nay không sao đâu.
Remember, you lose this game, you're going home. That is it for both of these teams. This is where you have to find it in yourself to pick up the win. So Showmaker now underneath his outer turret, not feeling great because there are 3 bad guys there. Now Lucid looking to make his way in. Certainly some targets, but the Black Shield standing around Moham looking for an angle. They just grab some plates, they will move on.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get too much until the Dragon in a couple of seconds. Still, looks like DK are saying we don't really have position to fight for this. We're going to try and make a cross-map play. I thought it would be towards Breathe, but Weibo again defending well here, denying that red buff take even. It feels like DK kind of scratching their heads as to how they want to open up on the map, and they just can't really get any wiggle room here.
I think picking up this Drake could be a good thing, as the Rift Herald going to be coming up now in 8 seconds time.
Đổi lại đường hợp lý, được không?
Fight towards this top side that both teams are looking for, trying to break open this map, give themselves some room to play, and you can imagine.
Game nó hơi buồn ngủ. Thấy DK khó đánh lắm. Hiện ra thấu kính tốt, thấy rằng phần năng ăn bắt đầu collab tới vị trí của Baram cũng như là Aurora, vị trí rất là đẹp. Bắt đầu tiến tới khu vực này, 5.000 máu, DK bắt buộc phải mở nhưng mà không tốc biến đến vị trí của Kingan trong pha vừa rồi, mất ra lợi thế mở rồi. Tầm nhìn bắt đầu mất dần, Kingan ở đây bị trói lại, Kingan nằm xuống, Kingan chắc chắn là trồn. Pha đấy phải mở, pha đấy đối phương điển, ở tầm nhìn của mình phải mở ấy. Chứ để đối phương phá được thì mình khó đánh lắm. Onin và Gna E tốt cho tác gian bên phía DK không chơi game được nữa rồi. Rồi lại được mạng cho vị trí của em mình, nhưng mà thật sự là cái game đấu này bay xa quá rồi.
I managed to outplay him, cross the map, the dark bindings hitting from Tarzan, and even on the top half, Lucid and Kingen considered going on towards Breathe, who's in Mininar, but they don't pull the trigger fast enough. You'll see it as we get into the replay here. So you go where this is a 3v4, but the eyes of Lucid move up top towards Kingen, which then isolates the Gragas here, who ends up falling. On the top of the map, Rift Herald is still started, so Weibo are just chasing down members of DK, and as they finally decide to turn on towards Breathe, the Black Shield comes in just in time for a Showmaker to not get that CC for Breathe. And it has to be Aiming who finishes things off, as Breathe will just pick up the Rift Herald on the way out.
Yeah, collects that one. Aiming is going to be able to at least get 1 kill back, but this is a disaster, and Weibo, yeah, pretty happy with how this one is going. There goes the outer turret as well. In the mid lane, Showmaker looking to try and trade for the bottom outer as well, but trading up here for Weibo, absolutely. And as we have a look at our master,
kia mua con na cái này chưa thấy làm gì đâu nữa. Giờ đầu tiên là cái pha băng trụ.
Cực nóng, Downy ra mắt túi mới, tăng cân mà giảm giá. Tăng cân, giảm giá. Wow! Downy mới, chỉ 99.000, thêm dung tích, thêm ngát hương. 99.000, thêm dung tích, chỉ 99.000, mua ngay!
Shaker AI is an SD model hub dedicated to the design and creative sectors, gathering over 50,000.
A large impact on how people view the quality.
DK are piecing together their early game comps.
Yep, and miracles abound for both of these teams as well. Of course, Weibo almost achieving it last year, making it all the way to the grand final. Kingen, right there on your screen, performed the miracle the year prior, and he has been one of the talking points for DK. Hasn't quite reached that 2022 form just yet, but as we have a look at the draft, some bans coming in. I love the Skarner ban. I think getting rid of that, I think the the Skarner meta we were seeing unfold yesterday was something that was getting towards problematic territory.
Yeah, it's very, very strong, especially into a lot of those dive compositions. Also interesting to see the Ashe ban, because this traditionally means you're trying to set up for something like a Kalista bot lane or something like that, or you want to try and get rid of what has been a good pick for Light in general domestically, but it still says to me that you're either looking at maybe an Orianna here, if the One ban comes through last, or a potential for an early Kalista to try and have that strong bot lane where you can fight toe-to-toe against Light and Crisp.
Yep, and I wonder whether DK were watching yesterday, because Xiaohu looked really good on the Orianna. Something that was sort of banned, and then that allowed things to look a little bit better, and then just came out with an incredible performance. So Xiao, I think that one needs to be addressed. The Yone's still going to be banned away. Feels a little bit more like a Kingen ban, which is very, very strange. But Kalista going to be locked in first up. This is something that you were expecting, perhaps, but for me, I don't know. I feel like it's very, very dangerous to get what feels like a bit more of a niche pick here in your first round.
I think it's just to try and punish Light and Crisp. The Crisp hasn't been particularly strong in the laning phase, so having that opportunity to just try and fight Light and Crisp and take that against them, I think is something that could work out very well. Also, Weibo have kind of been playing a lot of these compositions that tend to jump in on top of you, like the Aries and having this kind of stuff, so an opportunity to go for a Kalista Renata.
These are the best
to removing some of those dive potentials from the opposite side.
Yeah, but this could be Orianna Nocturne.
Yeah.
Orianna Nocturne's like pretty good, Dagda, I think.
It's not bad, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a bit worried about that part of it.
I think if you go like Renata Maokai, I think you're on an okay spot. You're just like, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to do a huge amount when it comes to outpacing the Nocturne, but as we start to move into the later portion of the game, I just deny every sort of engage that you have, and then you can try and focus on the Nocturne. Also, if you try and jump onto, say, the Renata, it makes it very difficult for you to finish her off because you've always got that Kalista with the fake call.
Well, this LeBlanc is something that was chain banned against Showmaker, and there is that Renata Glass that you were talking about. Really interesting seeing Renata locked in for DK, because my body is telling me, oh man, comfort pick for the bottom lane. But that wasn't with Moham. That's not necessarily his style of play. This guy is more of the Rel guy, and we'll just have to see. Of course, Kellen was the Renata Glass player. Of course, Moham has played it before, and we'll see how him and Aiming are going to do with such a powerful early game bot duo.
I do feel really bad for Aiming, though, because the Blanc is way more difficult to lock down with the Orianna Nocturne combo because she's so mobile.
Yep.
So it kind of just says, hey, Aiming, have this. You get to have fun with this combo, and I'll just see what I can do as I try and blast someone out of it on the back line. But Jax on the opposite side coming through for Breed. This is something that he's looked relatively decent on, and can just be that split push threat. We'll have to see what Kingen is going to try and respond with as they start to ban him out.
Well, it's not going to be the K'Sante. That one, as you say, going to be taken off the board. We'll see where the bans do come through from DK, which direction they're heading towards. I think maybe something like an Ezreal just to remove some of Light's comfort picks does seem like a bit of an option, but we could look towards the support pool as well to make sure that this Renata is going to be working out, and that is where they're going to sit. The Rel already taken off. Crisp not going to be able to head towards that one.
Yeah, I still think the Ezreal ban is worth it here for Light. When you have a composition that Weibo are going for that wants to dive in, having some sort of AD carry that has backline threat with that ultimate, but also having his own safety just makes it very difficult to try and respond. Also opens up Crisp then to start roaming around the map and makes it a little bit more difficult for you to force some sort of 2v2 play. So yep. I'm curious to see exactly what the plan is, because there is always an Ezreal lane swap or something along these lines that Weibo could try and operate on.
And so we'll just have to see. The Gragas ban, this is the pick that I really wanted to see out of Kingen today. And you and I were having a conversation about this before. This is one of Kingen's historically best champions. We saw Zeus go completely ballistic on this pick against the Jax. Something that he's always had in his back pocket and is now removed. So a different option into the Jax is going to have to be employed, and I think it's probably just going to be Rumble, isn't it? Like that's where my expectation is. He's not a bad Rumble player, but I don't know whether it's going to have the same impact as the Jolly Man on the top side. But now Light going to be locking in his option, an Ezreal, and then saving the counter pick for Crisp seems like a decent idea to me.
Yeah, oh, this would be spicy,
that's
though.
a Caitlyn.
This is okay. So Light did play this domestically, and they were really, really strong with this. So this is exciting to see if you can now just outrange and outpoke your bottom side and just say, hey, we don't really care about this all-in engage. We're just going to instead look to take over the map with this Caitlyn. And I know you probably got your ear burned off you with Ox saying how much you wanted to see the Caitlyn and these type of AD carries going back into the meta for this pushing style.
Yes, it's mainly Ziggs when it comes to Ox. I don't really hear much more coming out of him, but that's Lee Sin for Lucid.
Okay.
This guy, and look, when you talk about especially Korean junglers, everyone's a Lee Sin main. So it doesn't really feel like it doesn't carry very much weight saying that he's a Lee Sin main, but this guy he's the real deal. Some of his best plays this season have been on this champion, and we've been following him throughout Challenger prior to this, and he's looked absolutely exceptional. We'll see what he can do, because it's all about getting some advantages in the early game, especially if that Renekton came through, but there's the Rumble. As we predicted before, something that Kingen has oftentimes gone back to. And Caitlyn Lux, this is a no-brainer, and outranging this bottom lane, it's going to be easy now.
And that's the kind of worry that I have for DK here. Like, there's no real CC setup for their composition. Sure, you've got the equalizer, but who enables the equalizer in a lot of these fights? You're kind of hoping that Renata ult slows down a lot of Weibo's advancements to maybe try and set something up. It feels like you're playing pretty heavily for a pick with the Lee Sin and the LeBlanc, but that doesn't really fit into what Renata fully wants to do. So, the Kalista fully wants to do. So, I am curious as to how DK try and operate with this style, whereas when I look across the Weibo, it feels very easy to figure out how they want to play. Like, try and put a bunch of resources into this Caitlyn Lux on bot side, feed that pressure, but on the counterpoint, you'd usually want a nice jungler that can kind of facilitate a lot of that early pressure, like sit around that bottom side, but that's also not what Nocturne does. So I've got a couple of questions coming in.
Yeah, actually, it might be somewhere that Lucid can play around, right? Because Caitlyn Lux, if you've ever seen them before, they are often under the enemy turret, not their own turret, is kind of how that one goes. But coaches going to fist bump. This feels like DK have kind of decided to go with the game plan of Weibo in their first game yesterday, which didn't quite work out for them. All in on the early game, trying to get these big advantages early, get the game over and done with, and create that match point opportunity for yourself. I think certainly would be good for taking the pressure off, but can be a bit of a gamble if things go wrong. I mean, a Caitlyn Orianna certainly do provide a lot of insurance moving into the latter half of the game, but there is that trough you need to talk about, and I feel like I'm a bit of a broken record with. So much to go through here as we get into our very first game of the day. D+ taking on Weibo Gaming. This is for all of the marbles, actually all of them. Either you're on a plane home or you're on a plane to Paris after this best of 3. And DK really starting in a tough foot, I think. I think having the pressure to put on all of it early on is difficult to deal with, because if you can sit back and sort of absorb, it's less stressful, is the way I sort of think about it. So we'll see what they can make happen. And of course, there is a lot of comfort here for so many of these players. Yeah, and I think that's where trying to lean into that comfort is going to work well for DK. Because for Lucid, you have two options you can really play for. You can either try and play around this bottom side of the map and punish Light and Crisp as they're overextending, or you do a quick pit stop in towards Showmaker and say, hey, I want to burn summoner spells onto our Xiaohu, maybe we get a kill, but either way, I unlock Showmaker to start to play around this bottom side as well. And it becomes really difficult for Light and Crisp to play out through this Caitlyn Lux combo, especially as we were already saying, Nocturne is not a jungler that wants to sit in bot lane. He wants to farm. He wants to be able to spin his camps up as soon as they're available. But I don't think you really have an option here as Tarzan if you want to try and go for that. Yep. And I love this. Seeing Tarzan versus Lucid, it just feels like Lucid is trying to step into Tarzan's shoes of 2019, right? Like, Tarzan was an explosion when he came into the LCK alongside Griffin. It was sort of that time. D+ was another example of one of these teams that represented the new guard of the LCK. And Lucid, I think, is trying to do a very similar thing. We've had a lot of players, especially in the jungle role, like Peanut, like Canyon, that have been around for quite a long time, Owner included in that one. So you can go through the list. And Lucid really one of the bigger high points, I think, for a new player. See what he can do here up against one of the players that did manage to do it in the past. It is funny when you see the amount of veterancy that he's going up against on Weibo's side, like world champion, multiple time MSI champion. Like, it's definitely a bit of a shock when you see so many of these members away from the teams that they kind of got their starts on. You think of like RNG for Xiaohu, FPX for Chris, but it's kind of more towards the end of their careers, it feels like this stage. So wanting to show the new upstarts kind of what they can do, but I mean, you definitely have a lot of veteran players on the opposite side for DK as well. Oh, you really do. It's a lot of very, very new and some older ones. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, log in to your Riot account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules. Get all of that cool stuff. It's free. It's very cool. But this is Xiaohu's 100th Worlds game, Dag. Did you know that? That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, the screen did tell me. But
oh, the screen told you. I mean, I was hoping that you were just going to look at me and not actually look at the screen, but you cheated, and I guess that's all right. We didn't tell you the rules beforehand, so it's a tough one. All right, Showmaker and Xiaohu just trading farm here. You can see Xiaohu able to get the shove. That's something that Orianna is pretty good at. Getting the shove is a theme for this bottom lane as well. As we know, Moham now just holding down the fort as best he can. A little bit of a cheater recall coming in for aiming, getting those all-important shoes for the Kalista. She does very much like those, but going to miss out on a fair bit of farm here underneath the turret, and already one plate going down. Man, they really love their crockery, don't they? Caitlyn and Lux, very, very good at collecting it from enemy turrets.
And one of the reasons why we thought that we'd see more of this Caitlyn Lux was just because of the changes to the towers. The bot lane tower is so weak at the moment. You can pick up a ton of these place knights in early, but this is sick pathing from Lucid. Tarzan moved down to cover the bot lane, but Lucid snuck around.
Yeah, and you can see Lucid actually knew because Tarzan just cleared out that ward, and now Moham going to be flashing forward. Everyone misses everything, but Lucid's still in position. Tarzan going to get down. The Tempest, the Q not going to connect, and it's Lucid that's caught on a trap. First blood, it's a disaster for D+. And it should be another one as the Lucid Singularity comes down. The double kill for the Caitlyn. And yeah, I don't need to talk about troughs anymore. I think that Light's going to be just okay.
It's 2 Qs missed for DK, but it's QQ for them as well. It's so sad to see them just completely whiff. And Weibo, a nice trap from Light. The turnaround as Tarzan was able to get into that bottom side. And now, as you say, 2 kills for Light to start things off.
Oh man, it feels like unforced error, but it also feels like they were just red. And Weibo knew exactly what they needed to do. Maybe D+ moving up a little bit early or something like that. I felt like the initial setup felt really cool. Just didn't quite work out, and this double miss, oh man.
It was a great sidestep from Crisp, and then this is unfortunate from Lucid, just not quite able to connect on towards Crisp. But I love the idea, right? Disrupt Light and Crisp before they can get that first reset off and really take over in the laning phase. But Tarzan in position, they couldn't quite get the kills off quick enough. And it means that 2 kills go over and all these plates. It's a 1.1k gold lead already for the King.
That is absolutely gigantic, because the thing that we talk about all the time is that Caitlyn, if you are just going even, you're still, even if you're ahead by getting a few of these extra plates, things like that, that Caitlyn tends to do, you still often feel a bit trapped when you're on those 2 items and things like that. You really want to get to 3 to really feel like a threat. Light not going to have that issue whatsoever. So this is going to be a very different style of game and something that D+ are going to have to try and play around. And the thing that's really, really difficult is now picking yourself up after things go wrong like this with this composition that wanted to flourish early.
And the thing is, you kind of missed that timing window now for Lucid where you could really affect the lane. We talked about the level 6 being hit for Tarzan. He would like to just continuously farm through. Well, he cleared all of his camps, got the play on bot side, reset it, has now farmed through his camps once again. So he's very quickly on his way towards that level 6. And for Lucid, you're kind of synced up with him on these plays as you move down towards this bottom side again. Tarzan is once more going to cover where Lucid is probably going to play as Light and Chris push in, just again diminishing the windows of attack that DK have.
Well, you got Lucid coming back towards his bottom side. There's a great handshake. Crisp, I think, might have been dead if Lucid wasn't there, but he'll come over, he'll grab himself some gold and try to make up for the situation from earlier. Showmaker throwing down a Mimic Distortion on top of Xiaohu, but not really doing too much. He's going to have to exit stage left, as now Tarzan going to collect a Q from Lucid, spell shielded it nicely. He's not going to be able to fight him just yet. As we can see, some wards being cleared out. No Dragon's going to be taken just yet. First one going to be a Chemtech. Hopefully the next one's an Ocean, so we're saved from any Dragons that are going to bother us if they're a soul.
Yeah, still though, I think the fact that you've now got this kill on bot side helps out DK massively. Like, they can start to move up, take some of these Void Grubs. The pressure that you were under if these Void Grubs start to go towards Caitlyn is absolutely absurd. So being able to at least diminish that thanks to the kill on bot, getting the quicker reset for Amy and Moham means they can move up top side. And I think you're in a relatively okay spot. I mean, obviously you still got that big Caitlyn in the bot lane, but at least she's not being snowballed completely out of control right now.
Yep, and we do have those grubs being started on full vision here.
Nước giặt khác chẳng thể giặt nhanh vết bẩn cứng đâu. Ngâm, tẩy, vo, mẹ dùng đủ mọi cách để Ariel mới giúp mẹ, ngay cả khi giặt nhanh, Ariel đánh bay vết bẩn cứng đầu cho áo quần sạch sâu như ý. Giặt sạch vượt trội và nhanh là hoàn toàn có thể với Ariel mới.
Of Weibo, but with the man advantage, it should be absolutely fine. Recall did come through from King, and he actually moved down towards that bottom side of the map, had just teleported top, but buys some shoes and heads down there to try and defend from this Caitlyn Lux.
He will need to equalize this wave immediately, though. I don't even know if he got, yes, he got into range for it, so this should deny Light being able to get any more of these plates, which is really what he was looking for on this cross-map trade. And now that you post 5 minutes, at least Amy and Moham can get some plates in the top end, but it's the next wave that is now going to be a bit of an issue, where Light and Crisp kind of need someone to push against them, because otherwise they will just take this turret so quickly.
Oh, absolutely. You can see Light already throwing a Peacemaker through these minions. That next wave is going to be over there extraordinarily soon. Lucid now moving in, now actually looking for Xiaohu here. Kingen in position. There's the flash into the kick with the paranoia to immediately answer. The chain's connected, but Xiaohu should be all right. Looks like Lucid will be able to get himself out of there as well with the backup plan that was Kingen. Breathe underneath this turret could be in some trouble as well, but they're running out of minions. And Moham tanks up the turret there just to make sure that aiming is going to be all right. Oh, man. It is DK pulling back to about a 500 gold deficit now. It was a whole lot worse, so that is good news, but it is still feeling like this could just tip one way or the other so incredibly quickly, and Lucid getting taken down to 200 health is certainly helping with that sentiment.
DK kind of needed something to land there, though. Not getting the kill onto Xiaohu means, look, bot again. Light is once more back on towards his turret. Breathe used the Grandmaster's Might just to keep himself tanky enough so he can stick around for this wave as well, and it means that DK haven't really found that footing. I'm actually surprised that Light is now resetting. Maybe they are just looking at further turret plates there. They may just send Light up towards this top half of the map and look to snowball this again even further for the Caitlyn.
Yeah, I think that it's a bit of a mulligan. I think that turret, anyone can sort of go over there, and a stiff breeze should be able to take that one down. See aiming and Moham turning back up towards that top, bottom side of the map as well. Collector is done, and I actually love this. This is my favorite Caitlyn build because it feels the least bad on 2 items. You go Collector IE, you don't quite have the attack speed just yet, but your abilities do a heck of a lot of damage.
Also, just how hard you hit off of that 1 item spike is absolutely absurd. So if Amy never gets caught, say, by a net or a trap or anything in between, it is lights out, especially if Chris plans a fight.
Lights out, I get it. That was a good one, Dagda.
It's completely unintentional, but thanks for, you've just thrown now entirely.
You're supposed to just pretend that you had that one planned from last week. Or something like that.
See, I'm not used to casting with someone who calls me out for the random nonsense that I say, you know?
And neither am I, and I actually have to do it myself. I was doing it all yesterday, and it felt quite uncomfortable. So don't worry, I've got you back.
Way too nice to do.
Yeah, I know. Never wants to put me under the bus, but I grew up with Papa Smithy, you know? That's where I lived. Okay, that is going to be a big chain of damage. Crisp, not a lot of follow-up here. No one in paranoia range. I think Tarzan was actually pretty close. Moham's able to walk out this time around. Of course, level 1 paranoia doesn't really feel like you're coming in from that far away. Now Lucid spotted on a ward, but they know that it's there. Information understood. Looks like DK going to settle for some shellfish here. Crisp looking to try and slow them down. Tarzan might be able to come over for a little bit of a steal, but it is Lucid that's able to get it. After the Duskbringer does go down, as now Lucid wanted to safeguard over, and he was actually out of range. That was very, very weird and uncomfortable, but it's fine. Gets over towards the Krogs, and now this bottom lane, it should be just not long for the world. These minions might be dealt with, but I think Light, a couple of autos should be able to do it. Although, never mind. Gonna have to wait for the next wave.
Yeah, Showmaker was bluffing a roam down towards the bottom side, trying to see if he could just force Weibo off, but they kind of just called it, especially with Tarzan in the area. They were happy enough to go. And now, oh, here's the play, though.
Yeah, teleport to come in. It is the counter paranoia. It's a decent ulti from aiming, but already out of there is Moham. Has to deal with it as Showmaker. He gets in. Xiaohu goes down incredibly low. Showmaker has the chains, and he connects it, and now Tarzan's just trying to get himself out of there. But I think he's going to be rendered down, and aiming collects the kill. DK back on the board, and the bounce back is looking great.
Xiaohu TP'd in way too close to DK, and they punish accordingly. Light and Crisp had already gotten out. They burn all their summoner spells to do so, but Xiaohu TP'd into the middle of everyone and ends up going down and bringing Tarzan with them.
Beautifully done, and D+, they needed that. They now have a gold advantage, but Breathe in this mid lane, going to be grabbing some more plates. Let's have a look at this fight one more time. Tarzan immediately there, ready with the paranoia, but this teleport from Showmaker, just a whole lot better.
Great ward to get him in, and then Light even getting this cleanse means that he's able to be in a position to flash away, but Xiaohu TPing onto the wave, man, he didn't even get his ultimate off. He's just on full retreat the second he gets in here, and DK focus him down incredibly well, even putting the bailout on towards aiming, so if a ton of burst came out of nowhere, he was never going to fall down.
I think Showmaker played that about as perfectly as you possibly could. This guy's LeBlanc has been, it was banned all playoffs, basically. He is an incredible threat on this champion. I think if you've been a fan of League of Legends since about 2020, you'll know this guy has been pretty synonymous with this champion, but Grub's going down, 5 of them picked up here by DK, and they might even be able to get the 6th as Kingan's rotating over. And Weibo not going to be able to get any of these. And now the 6 Grubs question is going to be coming in. I think DK taking the 6 is far better for denial, in my opinion. Caitlyn with Grubs, no. That is too much demolition.
It's just a question of how well DK can use it though, because with Mountain Dragon now up, it feels like Weibo going to try and turn their attention towards that. At least Showmaker being able to push back Breathe a little bit in this bot side thanks to the range advantage should be okay to get bot side control, and maybe Showmaker can move into a position to threaten Light and Crisp on this mid wave.
Well, that Dragon not really being considered just yet. Right now, Tarzan with some camps still up and available. We'll be clearing those out before we do see anything. And that turret still on a sliver there towards the bottom side. Almost the only reason the DK have any sort of gold advantage right now is because that standing gold has not been slurped up. And 30 seconds until that plate is going to go wanting as well. As now Lucid coming on over, looking to try and even out the Drake count. And even just one Mountain Drake could be pretty good here for these guys. As Showmaker, a decent sidestep, but I think he's still going to get caught out, and that Wombo is going to hold him in position for easily long enough. Now Lucid, can he actually get in here and take this one? And he does so. Finishes the Dragon, so they get that as a consolation prize after losing their mid laner. And there's a Cloud Soul. You love to see it. Xiaohu going to Shockwave Kingan, but Kingan just going to walk it off.
I think it was this time last year you anointed me the Cloud Soul guy, so it's only fitting.
That's because you're with me. Everyone's the Cloud Soul guy. That's just how it goes. Please, feel free.
Nice job from Lucid, though, to sneak away the Dragon. You can see that Chris was looking for his reset. Weibo weren't really in a position as Light was only coming back into the map. And now again, Lucid's starting to move up towards this top side. So although Weibo started off as a really nice player on bot side and being able to get a ton of these advantages, DK have actually played at the map state better around a lot of these objectives, and also then found ways to punish Weibo overextending. So DK certainly making their way back into this game.
Yep, it's working out pretty nicely. And now I remember, you're exactly right. You brought the Cloud Souls.
Yeah.
I need to petition to cast with you every single time. It's for my mental state. It's very, very important that I get as many Cloud Souls as possible. Thank you, Dagda. You're the best. Okay, Showmaker now just clearing out this top wave. Should be able to get through that one pretty comfortably. But I think what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes will be really, really important for both of these teams. I think DK need to keep up the pressure as much as possible, and they need to be able to take some turrets. I think that Rift Herald is going to be really, really important.
Well, I think the fact that you have LeBlanc makes things a little bit easier to take them, because Xiaohu does not want to go up against Showmaker in the side lane. This LeBlanc, way more threatening, the ability to just chip away at turrets and that 6 Void Growth buff, even maybe looking at the picks in this jungle as well. So I think this is where Weibo are going to struggle. Light can't really get enough control over mid to threaten the mid lane turret, and DK are decent on sides, just with Kingan being able to clear out waves.
Let's just see. I want to know where Shelly is going to get parked to try and take some money from these structures. I think we're hopeful that it's going to be towards that mid lane, really open up the map, because it is very dangerous for Weibo to get wards onto the map. They have a Lux, and she just does not enter the jungle safely alone very much. Does throw out beams like this, as you can see. That works out, you know, try and find some catches, but you're not going to be very self-sufficient getting deep vision down. So holding onto that outer turret in mid lane really going to be helping Weibo out as far as holding onto any control of this map. It doesn't feel like a clunky composition from Weibo Gaming. You can understand how it all works together, but I feel like a lot of these lulls in the game are a little bit more difficult for them to deal with without some of these champions that are good at getting extra vision.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, Lucid's done a really good job of creating that lull. Like, this was a game that could have very quickly blown out of control, but he's actually brought it back under reins. And now, as you say, this lull does work out where DK just get to farm up, get this Kalista back into a space where she is relevant. And Lucid's been doing a really good job of, hey, there's a potential where Breeze could maybe play down towards King and all-in. All right, Lucid's just covering. They know Showmaker's never going to die to an all-in. He has flash. He's a bloody LeBlanc. Like, he's going to be fine. So it's more about playing around this top and AD carry, and he's doing a great job. And here comes your Rift Herald.
Yep, straight down into that mid lane, as well as now Lucid getting into the enemy jungle. They're not actually going to babysit Shelly here. She's a bit of a distraction as they look towards this top side. Xiaohu possibly overextended, perhaps, if they are looking for some sort of dive, but I think his turret is very healthy as well up there towards that top side of the map. So DK not going to be able to find too many advantages here, just a bit of damage out of the charge, and that only evens up the amount of damage done to these central structures.
I think it is basically a we'll buy it later plan, because if you look at Dragon setup, you really want Caitlyn to be in River beforehand. You want the Vision setup so Tarzan and Xiaohu can jump onto backline as they try and go through. But if you try and set up early in River as Weibo, well then you just lose the mid lane tower, right? So I think even though it didn't quite get the mid lane structure for them, it still sets up really well for a minute's time when this Dragon spawns.
You can see Weibo actually with a lot of control of this top side River for now. Of course, Scuttle Vision going to be immovable, and D+ will understand what's going on. But now Xiaohu getting procced on here. Sigil of Malice working for Showmaker. Does have a lot of control in these side lanes. Of course, LeBlanc pretty good in the split push. LeBlanc's such a weird champion, because I feel like she's like a mage, but also an assassin, also a poke champion, also a split pusher. Depending on how you play it. Of course, Showmaker definitely more of that poke variety. Very good at getting in there, getting the distortions to work.
Yeah, she's the early season Cassante. You know?
Yeah,
we didn't quite get
like
to season 11 Power Spike yet.
And then there was Ornn, and then that was like every archetype after that. And then Cassante came in and ruined everyone's fun. And Showmaker, like, it's topical because we're talking about this with Showmaker in the game, the man who basically defined being frustrated by Cassante. And he's not in this game, and it was banned by Weibo. He probably said thank you.
He was very happy to see it. But
yeah, it's glorious.
I think the silent winner in this game has been Breathe. The moments where Kingen has been trying to roam around the map as Rumble to set up plays and trying to counteract Caitlyn has actually left Breathe in a side lane where he's just been able to farm up. You can see him nearly 800 gold ahead. Yeah. And I think he is kind of causing some issues for DK as they want to try and set up. But here's where we're talking about DK looking at the Dragon. Could potentially just turn towards the mid lane. Showmaker resetting though. I don't see any deep wards for to TP to though.
Yeah, well, the Equalizer going to be a huge deal here as in goes Lucid. Looks for that safeguard over. Still has the Flash, though, and the Dragon Rage as they take control of this Dragon. A teleport coming in a little bit late once again from Xiaohu as the Drake is secured by DK. Now Xiaohu trying to speed himself up, get himself in here. But DK, I think they just want to back away from this one. I don't think you want to go for a 5v5 as you've already taken the objective. And Lucid just going for some cheeky steal. I don't know about that one. Feels a little greedy as the preemptive Flash is gorgeous. The kick, too little, too late. And it's Chris that locks down the kill. A handshake still going to have to be flashed there as Moham gets himself out. And a slight overstay there from the young jungler from DK.
Yeah, it didn't have any right going for that against the Nocturne. Could have gone down a bit faster, but Xiaohu's still holding on to that ultimate now. Gives a little bit of threat towards Weibo on a potential turret play as Breed's going to enter back into the spot side to try and get some pressure there. Kingen off to the side here, though.
Yeah, Kingen coming in. There's the Equalizer to start things off. Not going to get a whole lot of value, but there is the Fate's Call. Xiaohu just burns down. The flamethrower of this Rumble is working until he's dead. And it's going to be Light that takes him down. That felt like a headshot. And that is going to be a 1-for-1 in the end.
Yeah, Flash invested by Kingen to try and get the play, and Weibo able to get at least one back off of it. But I was kind of curious at the ult from Moham. Immediately saw Tarzan, and I think he kind of panicked, ended up sending in his direction rather than just trying to lock up multiple members of Weibo. But we'll see it here again, as it's a great handshake to start things off here as Kingen's coming in over the side. I think they expected Tarzan to have reset, but it's as you come through here, the follow-up from Moham, and then he sees Tarzan, immediately sends the ult that way, but it's spell shielded, so you don't get any real value out of it. And then it's Crisp who's able to get that CC into the trap, into the follow-up CC again, that ends up spelling disaster for Kingen.
And it could have been so much better as well if that Fate's Call gets the knock-up on top of the Equalizer. Yeah. That is a lot of damage, but it was just a little bit later than that, so slight miscoordination from DK is aiming. Was trying to hit the Pierce onto the Baron, and Lucid going to come on over. They do have vision, as there is no teleport from Breathe, and he's going to have to walk all his way up. There's the final spark. Crisp knows exactly what's going on, but DK, they're committed to this. Down to 50% is Lucid, though. It's starting to get dangerous. Paranoia up and available for Tarzan, and DK just moved the Jax over. They will stop on the Baron.
Yeah, I thought this was to alleviate pressure on Kingen so we could actually push it bot way, but Kingen started to rotate up as well, so it looks like DK a little uncertain of how they want to approach the game, and now because they forced that Baron, it means that Weibo just get access to the mid lane turret, and
Downy mới chỉ 99.000, thèm dung tích, thèm ngát hương, 99.000, mua ngay.
Are even putting pressure on towards Showmaker on this top side as well.
Yep, Showmaker moving down. Lucid's going to be there, though. Hits the Q, but Xiaohu just dissonances his way out of there. So Weibo create that distance that they're looking for, and feels like a comp that really does just want to stand there and phalanx, right? Like you've got Caitlyn in the back as the artillery, Crisp there with some peeling potential, and then you throw an orb towards the alley-ooping Nocturne that goes in and destroys the backline alongside the Jax. you can understand how it's supposed to work, and right now, with the amount of control that they have, with that mid-outer turret falling down, feels slow and steady will win the race here for Weibo if they can make things happen. DK, they have to be tricky with how they get these fights started. Play on flanks and utilize Showmaker getting around and deceiving everyone, much like the LeBlanc wants to do.
Yeah, and that's where it kind of starts with getting mid control to enable Showmaker. If you can get that push, oh, fantastic. We can get all that vision control on the top side to let Showmaker push through, but it's just been really difficult because this Caitlyn has been accelerated, and they keep moving Kingen in towards this mid to try and help out. You can see Lucid constantly playing around that as well, but until this mid lane structure goes down, it's a bit difficult for DK, but they might have found their window here with no TPs available for Weibo.
Yeah, Final Spark not going to clear out the wave here as Tarzan soaks the Q. That is going to be enough for DK to take down the outer turret themselves. So 2 for 2 on that front. Bottom outer falling for Weibo, top outer falling for DK. This game very, very close. Under 2K, the gold advantage here at 23 minutes means little to write home about as Breathe. He's going to jump in. Kingen has Scrap Shield. He's going to be able to speed himself up, gets himself out of there. Scryazorb going to spot the rest of DK as they rotate their way around. And the battle for mid-wave is continuing.
We're going all out ARAM for this one, trying to get everyone involved, but it looks like DK, again, just kind of realizing, hey, we have the TPs available, so let's just move down in towards those side lanes and start to push out again. There is pressure on Showmaker, but it's very difficult to try and lock down this LeBlanc inside, so I think you're all right as DK to get these resets in and look at Dragon.
Yeah, things are very, very dark indeed. And a lot of wards up here for Weibo, as you can see. So some homework, some clearing out, some chores to be done for D+. They look to go for a reset, get back in there, clear up this vision. So Showmaker still towards that top side. You've got Breathe there down towards the bottom lane. Teleports in hand for both of them, and 15 seconds on the second Cloud Drake of the game. Soul Point available for D+ as well. Pretty important that they can get over there, and you can see already bottom lane moving. Kingen's down towards that bottom lane, and a recalling Showmaker tells me that this is going to be the fight.
Especially when you look at the items that have just been picked up by DK. 2 items almost across the entire board. You even got the Warden's Mail picked up for aiming to be the half item, but also allow him more entrance into fights. He also has that flash if he can avoid the shockwave. He has a better time trying to out-kite Tarzan. So DK definitely have a chance to fight, but it looks like they're instead going to try and trade it for positioning on Baron and try and clear out some of the vision that's there. Even Kingen TPing in, maybe they just try and start this.
Yeah, well, they are definitely starting it. It was on vision when they did start hitting the Baron, so Weibo going to have to rotate over. DK probably looking for a turn. You can see Showmaker, being frustrating, getting himself amongst it. Tarzan looks to come in, doesn't land the spell shield. But now DK, can you find the fight where you want it? Breathe looking for that flank angle. That's an interesting use of the Counter-Strike a little bit early, but now the Paranoia does come through. The Shockwave doesn't do anything at all. Tarzan is burning down. Lucid's still on the Baron. It goes down. There's the Smite Equalizer. Is gorgeous, and it melts the Nocturne. Breathe not going to be able to get anything done. The kickback onto Light, and into the backline goes Showmaker, but Light is still alive somehow. The Q misses as well. And DK, they have them on the wrong side of the map. The flash out from Showmaker perfectly timed. DK, you've got it. You've taken it. It's fine. You've got a pick as well. We don't need to fight more. These health bars are so low, but Weibo, they're still trying to move out. Another flash picked up here, and now Lucid, he's out of position, and Light grabs the headshot.
They get one back, but still, it's DK coming away with the Baron. DK played that so incredibly patient, with Showmaker just poking and prodding Weibo to the point they felt like they needed to pull the trigger, and the trigger did not go off well. That was the flash that we were talking about for this Kalista, crucial to avoiding that. And with that Warden's Mail, Tarzan's just not really a threat, so he has to run away. Baron goes down, and that equalizer to finish off the low health Nocturne was perfect from Kingen.
Oh, Lucid, if that net hadn't have come through, Light would have been very, very dead. That would have been a delivery perfectly over towards Showmaker, but he walks out with a sliver of health. Moham tanking that ace in the hole as well.
And now you're in a position as DK where you can just look to even funnel Showmaker more. You've got that 6-boy grub buff. You have Baron. You have control of the map. Wait, he's gone?
Yep, Showmaker in a lot of trouble here as the Paranoia does come down. Breathe is going to secure the kill, and that was just him and Crisp getting that work done. Light was there. He didn't really participate too much.
I'd like to formally apologize to LCK fans because he kind of got obliterated there. But a good read from Weibo to say, look, this is where Showmaker wants to be. They want to try and play through sides and burn all these structures, but DK still end up winning out because you've got push on bot, you got the shove in mid as well. You will answer with a tier 2 tower, but you're still at least getting that quicker take for Weibo plus the extra tower, and now the reset coming through that makes Weibo run very quickly away.
Yeah, being able to get that inner turret as well, I think really works out for Weibo. If it had been just the outer in trade for mid-inner and the outer on the bottom side of the map, then probably not worth. But as you can see, as far as the Rebel Baron power play is concerned, 700 ain't really very much when you start off with a 1500 gold advantage just naturally. So we're still with about 47 seconds to go, but this Baron is not going to be the biggest that we've ever discussed. Still, DK looking for some more options here. Inner turret towards the top side of the map might be an option. And Lucid lost so much of his health bar. Light is absolutely massive. 3 items already completed. Rapid Fire Cannon Collector, IE, feels really, really good, especially when this team composition is so incredibly squishy. There's no true tank here. Barely needs to build any of these armor penetration items as Moham has to ult just to play defensively here as Tarzan still looking for it. There's the kick out. Nice little knock up there, but the Paranoia was held on to. Gets the activation as now Moham is in so much trouble. There it is. No bailout for you, my friend, as now Kingen moving up. The equalizer placed beautifully, and Tarzan will be traded in an instant. Stunned up there, but you can see he's able to go into the stasis. The rest of DK, can you actually find a fight? Because Breathe says no. The Counter-Strike gonna help lock down the kill onto the Rumble, and now Lucid is scattering, trying to get over towards these Raptors. Even clears out the camp. Very nicely done on the exiters. There is Showmaker looking for the pick, and he'll find it! Crisp goes down as well.
Weibo playing off the fact that a couple of members of DK had reset, but not everyone. They get Moham, but the extended fight, because Moham had taken so long to die, means that the rest of D+ are actually able to get in position. You'll see it here. Tarzan a bit early with the spell shield means that it goes off, and then Moham, I wasn't sure on the flash, but when you see how many members of DK are starting to move into position, at least it buys that little bit more time before he fully goes down. And this equalizer from Kingen was gorgeous. Tarzan has no way out apart from walking across that red carpet. And even here, Kingen, the trap, just a little late from Light. So Kingen gets the flash away, and he will fall, but still Showmaker end up punishing Crisp as he goes for one more.
Yeah, and I just want to say, this is exactly what we were expecting out of these two teams. It is fighting for, I don't even know what, I'm sure they do, but the fights look so good. It is just limit testing after limit testing between both of these teams, and this gold advantage has not changed one way or the other for the last 20 minutes, I think you could say. I think the beginning where we saw Weibo get those couple of kills was the largest gold lead that we've seen, which is just kind of nutty when the game has gone for about 30 minutes in. But now, Cloud Drake on the cards, traps set up here by Weibo. And Showmaker getting over, able to avoid them pretty comfortably.
Kingen has a good position here, though. I was going to say, is he can move into and kind of break this fortress that Weibo have set up. Even Showmaker just trying to poke through, but needs to do so fairly quickly as okay.
Yeah, Moham going to get the Fate's Call to make sure that that final spark does not connect. Losing Singularity not quite coming through as there's the ace in the hole. Showmaker sacrificing a third of his health bar. And now it's going to be a bit of a smite fight here between Tarzan and Lucid, though. He's just going to go for the kill, though. He takes down Showmaker. That is going to be Soul Point, but it's not really a huge deal. As now Xiaohu looking for Kingen.
Breathe is in the base, though. He already took mid lane tower.
Yeah,
he's about to take another one.
That's an inhibitor turret, and I don't know whether Soul Point, Cloud Soul, I love Cloud Soul, but like, that's not good enough. This is an inhibitor taken by Breathe on this Jax, and DK, I don't think this is a trade-up.
This is definitely not a trade-up. Great read from Weibo. Breathe moved in initially, I feel like, to match where Kingen was, but as Kingen had moved the entire way around, he's like, cool, there's no one defending this mid lane structure. I can continue to take this. I have TP to get back, and you're kind of shored up as Weibo in that river, so nicely done to get the play back, and DK, they get a dragon for it, but not worth.
Yeah, not quite. Still, the game goes on. The gold advantage not end of the world or anything like that here at 31 minutes in. But Weibo, I think with this extra map control, I think they're a composition that can utilize it so incredibly beautifully.
Have compositions really mattered so far?
Well, no, not really, but I do like talking about it because in theory they do. And DK, they did do their natural thing, which is start Baron, and don't really provide too much context on it. As Weibo do push them away pretty comfortably. A lot of testing the waters as Kingen with teleport up and available can be there at a moment's notice to drop down these equalizers. Showmaker doing his best to stay frustrating as he pushes in, but with the fact that the ace in the hole does so much damage, it's more difficult for Showmaker to do this on his own, right? Because as soon as Light presses R, Showmaker takes 50% of his health bar.
It's also really difficult to try and move into these. Yeah, these two choke points just here and here. Like you're in such a difficult spot because there's constant trap usage. There's Tarzan is just playing in the front line, and if you ever become overly separated by the rock in the middle.
Equalizer looking for light. You can see Lucid looking for a bit of a flank angle, but he's a little bit late in there, and there's the paranoia. Breathe with the flank is gorgeous, but Tarzan is getting focused. The counter-strike onto 2 is phenomenal, and Showmaker is going to be able to lock down Light. Crisp is dead as well, and DK, they could be doing it. The bailout doesn't work, but maybe that does not matter, because Xiaohu's on the ground, and it's Breathe that has to be the raid boss, but against 3, it ain't going to work. Lucid is just going to hold him in place, and Breathe might be able to run them out on a bit of a merry goose chase, but there's the 600 gold going over to Lee Sin. That is the ace, and DK have done it. This could just be Baron.
DK played that beautifully. They end up getting Lucid into a position where he can find that flank. Showmaker comes in off the back as well, and Moham's ultimate just completely rips through Weibo as well. DK secure the Baron. Beautiful stuff from the LCK seed.
The hostile takeover has never been more aptly named, Dagda, as the Baron will be secured for the second time here for D+ Kia. They will move into a gold advantage. It's all tied up. Before this Baron goes down, I want everyone to know that this is entirely even. 12-12, 58.8. And even the turret's very, very close. The inhibitor being down in the mid lane will make this Baron difficult to utilize with the inherent pressure that Weibo has. But still, this is a big advantage now built up for DK.
Yeah, and you can see as this fight kicks off, Lucid has actually walked the whole way around towards the back here, and everyone in Weibo doesn't spot him out, so he's in a great position to come through. Also, Weibo jump on towards the one member that has that Zhonya's ready, so you're not able to follow up. The Moham hostile takeover is gorgeous. Showmaker to finish off Tarzan, and the kick from Lucid is just perfect. DK played that exceptionally, and honestly, for a rookie, Lucid is outperforming everyone here.
And I have to say, Breathe played that about as well as he could at the same time, because otherwise it could have been even more catastrophic for this team. But man, the coordination between both Showmaker and Lucid is something we've been talking about all year. I think everyone knows Showmaker and Canyon. You know, when they were broken up, everyone was so sad. It's like, oh, they've been a dynamic duo for so long. This young player and Showmaker really have started to gel together, and that was a beautiful example of what they've been building towards so far here in 2024. Aiming now pushing this wave out towards this top lane. It's been a very quiet aiming game. He's now finally got a gold advantage of about 120. I only say that because he normally has a gold advantage over everyone in the entire league. And so for him to be behind the majority of this game probably doesn't make our Gold King feel all that good.
Still, the fact you're back into this game after giving 2 kills across and all this plates here, you're kind of wiping the sweat off your brow in that one. But
he's got a Randuin's.
Yeah, I like it in this position. Like, as you see, every time he flashes the Shockwave, it's only going to be the damage from the Nocturne to try and finish him off. So the Randuin's for the slow, also being able to absorb a lot of that, get value out of your Terminus.
Oh, Breathe comes in, but he is actually spotted on the flank. Zhonya's going to be utilized here as now into the back line goes Tarzan, but he cannot follow Showmaker. Still, he takes a whole host of damage with that ace in the hole coming down. This is Soul for DK if they're able to take this one, as Chris not able to find that final spark. This dragon being started. This is going down extraordinarily quickly. It's going to be a teleport back in from Showmaker, but that does mean that they have only 4 here as there's the red carpet down. Chris takes half of his health bar just by existing. That's going to be Xiaohu locking this one down. But down to the back line goes Breathe, and he has no friends. No one's going to be there to help him. Chris almost just explodes, and finally they deal with the Jax. No bailout, though, for Showmaker, so he'll fall down in trade. And that's Weibo being able to stop this Soul from coming in, but somehow Crisp is just dead. It's Showmaker is just able to get on in there with his LeBlanc, and that is going to skew things in the favor of D+, especially with this Baron still with 15 seconds to go and all of these Void Mites careening towards this inhibitor turret.
I mean, they're going to be able to put pressure here, but I don't know if they can quite get through. 5 seconds on the Red Bull Baron Bearer play means that at this stage, it's going to diminish before they can actually get the structure. They have to hard force this, but do you really want to go up against that as Light walking back at a base may just give them that window to take this?
Yeah, with the fact that the trap was procced without him being in headshot range was kind of a big deal, because I think if Light hits any of those headshots, it hurts like a lot, like really, really a lot. I think aiming can tank it the best on his whole team, and that says a lot. That's actually, I think that's just a fact.
You're genuine, yes, but TP in behind, it's Xiaohu.
Right. This is a crazy TP. It's a double to come through here as now Breathe with the counter-strike is able to get a 3 stun, and now Tarzan trying to get himself in. DK being so tricky though, the handshake, fantastic 3-man Shockwave, the final spark as well as Weibo. They're trying to find it, not quite doing enough damage. though. It's a 1-for-1, but aiming is going to get hit. The bailout not going to work. And he is going to die. There's the shutdown going over to Light as Showmaker gets himself out and away from Breathe.
King and his TP into this top side, though, immediately clearing out the wave that Weibo could look to use to try and close out the game with both AD carry and support gone. But with that, it's a lot invested.
I feel like that should have been way worse for D+.
I think D+,
like, that three-man Shockwave, absolutely gorgeous. The fact that Tarzan could get in and support this double TP. We're going all the way back to this Dragon fight.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Xiaohu gets this is absolutely absurd, but Breathe ends up being forced away. He buys some time, but Showmaker doing a ton of damage on towards Crisp on the opposite side. But at this stage, you're just trying to hightail it. My big worry was if Weibo lose this, there's already a wave in mid that DK could look to win off of, but now the double TP in behind, I'm shocked that, like, Showmaker was in base, so I like the call from Weibo here, but Lucid just being a little bit more mobile seems like it gets him out.
Yeah,
and then this Shockwave works out beautifully, but everyone kind of moved over towards Kingen, so the target selection wasn't quite there to immediately follow up. Moham with a big ultimate as well, keeps Light out for a little bit, and there's the mobility we're talking about for Lucid. And Kingen just able to walk out on the bottom side of the map as everyone was distracted by the Shockwave.
Yeah, I think Kingen just saying "you shall not pass" by putting down the layer of fire there underneath the brush was really what helped DK stay in it for as much as they could. That's going to even out the kills. We're back to even once again, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we like to do it here, both teams with Soul Point available. This is really helping the Cloud Drake stats, which I'm absolutely loving. Sorry to bring it away from the game just for one moment, a little bit selfishly there, but it's very, very important.
There's definitely
for me.
some people at Pick'ems that are very much on your side. It's okay.
A few of them tweeted at me, yeah, that did happen, and I appreciate you guys. As Weibo now just trying to grab some control of the mid lane, has been a theme so far today. There is a ward that does spot out aiming, who's just looking for a bit of a reset angle. See whether that Mercurial Scimitar is going to be up and available for him on the next recall. It'll be 6 items complete, at least before the Zephyr is done. Of course, aiming a big fan of just building Zephyr if he can.
I think the...
Oh, Jackshow's actually done instead. Never mind, he sells the QSS and he's like, no, I am the tank. Allow me to frontline.
But the thing is how much has actually been utilized by Weibo with this combo? We haven't seen it really hit home, this Nocturne Orianna combo, so for him I think it is just a case of, hey, if I can survive the Nocturne, I'm fine. And we have enough damage coming through from Showmaker and Kingen, as Weibo aren't exactly the tankiest team in the world. So I think for DK it's kind of a good read, but for Weibo they want to try and find these picks right now. But this is where I was going to talk about for compositions. Like, Weibo in theory I feel like should be all guns blazing at this stage with the late game scaling on their team, but they just haven't been able to find fights that are working in their favor.
And also there are a large amount of super minions now crashing towards the bottom side of the map, so they're going to have to go back and deal with that one. Xiaohu is the one that's going to draw the short straw, or maybe the long straw, considering whether or not he wants more money.
He definitely needs more money.
Yeah. Breathe also now moving up towards that top side, so this is the opportunity for DK to get over towards the Baron, at least grab themselves some vision. As you know, DK kind of want to do. They just want to start this one up. Right now, playing a little bit more reserved than they have for the remainder of the game. A slight gold advantage is there for DK as they do finally start this one. Breathe, getting on that flank angle. Showmaker understanding exactly where this guy is. Oh, never mind. Maybe he doesn't. Gets bonked on the head, and that is going to get him out of there. Speaking of getting out of there, the Baron will be stopped here as Weibo just moves on over to push them out of the pit.
It was the Xiaohu TP that was gotten for it, though, and that's really what DK were playing for. So nice job to pull away and not get caught out by Breathe. But now DK just kind of get to rinse and repeat. They even send Showmaker down to the spot side if they really want to just force more pressure in that position.
And it's a much more valuable inhibitor as well that DK were able to take. Of course, earlier on, Weibo get that great push with Breathe to take down the mid inhibitor, but not a lot was gained because everyone just chills in the mid lane anyway when it comes to the neutral time in the game. This, though, is going to be a lot of pressure being put on Weibo. They have to deal with that wave moving towards their Nexus turrets.
Soul on both sides as well is now up and available, so DK get in towards River. There's the Equalizer.
Yeah, the Equalizer comes down. They have to walk over it. Crisp takes a lot of damage, but does have that redemption. That will keep that health bar higher. Cooldown on this Equalizer is not the most gigantic, but now DK move over. They will just blow up this Dragon, but can they get back towards the Baron to stop Weibo from just taking that one away? They have so much damage, and they will start it off. Full information over to DK, but can they get in here in time is the question. The teleport for the flank angle to come through as Showmaker has made his way in. Lucid is going to be able to get into position. They have a control ward down. As now, Lucid, can you actually stop this one? Tarzan gets out of the pit, and now the hostile takeover is chasing them. Light is fighting, Breathe, and now Tarzan is looking to try and burn them down. The three-man Shockwave wave. It's gorgeous though from Xiao to try and turn the fight. And Aiming is going to finally be able to take down Tarzan. The tank Kalista is bouncing through the enemy team, and Xiaohu goes golden just for a moment before this Rend is going to cut him down. The triple kill for the front line. Kalista is gorgeous from Aiming. And now it looks like DK are going to push forward for the win.
Showmaker is doing so much work in these fights, getting access to light continuously, making him uncomfortable. Breathe is trying to do everything by himself, and DK are cussing down Weibo. That should be the game end.
DK going to be able to take down this turret at least. Crisp, the last man standing, but we are late into this game. It is 42.5 minutes. And there is 20 seconds on Tarzan, who's going to be the first one up. Crisp not going to do anything to defend these Nexus turrets. And DK, after an absolute slugfest of a game one, will be the team that comes out on top. But man, I don't know what's going to happen in game number 2. I got no information about who the better team is, but that was one heck of a fun game.
That was a crazy game. And I think everyone on Weibo, maybe ourselves included, are a little dizzy after that one.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to go back and do it again with your tournament lives on the line?
Whew. Okay, we're going to need some time here to cool off after that game number 1. It is time for us to head to a short break. Afterwards, though, we got another dose of this. We are so incredibly lucky. We'll see you soon.
Sparks ready. Amped up.
This is necessary.
You wish. In the dojo. You want to head high. In the dojo. In the dojo.
Here we go again, man, I'm on another one. Don't wait up for me, man, I'm on another run. Yeah, I hear the streets calling. I cannot ignore it. Walking on the border, feel the devil on my shoulder. Talk to me nice. I ain't got a lot left. Talk to me right. They remember when I used to walk in the light. Now I got a little walk in the black. I've been on the verge of self-destruction. Never been this close to me erupting. I'm on the ledge. I'm seeing red. Don't think they heard what I said. Mr. Goody Two Shoes, about to pew pew. Kill him in a new suit, man, I'm too smooth. From the light to the dark, from the truth to the lies, play a part. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, 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 renegade. You better run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away. Yeah, yeah. I threw away the halo, never gonna be an angel. I'm more keen and able. I've been a since cradle. Build different, homie. You could go and check the label. I'm 100% raw, underrated.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and anything.
Be taken away as well.
I imagine they will be. The question mark for me, though, is like, what do Weibo actually do differently on the blue side? Because I feel like they got the things they wanted, right? Orianna is a potential first pick. They got the Nocturne follow-up. That's kind of been the combo that we've seen.
Backing on a ward, as we can see, but Kingen towards this bottom side of the map, looking to try and grab some plates. Not very much longer do we have plates on the Rift. 1.5 minutes. Try and get the rest of that gold as now Showmaker up towards his top side. We've seen the Aurora Nah matchup quite a few times. So he's going to be heading towards that one. And DK, still a lot of win conditions, a lot of ways to get themselves back into the game in the gold lead. Not even 1,000 or anything like that. But if these fights go the way that we saw that last time around, This could be very, very dangerous here for DK because it feels like this is a lot more of a slow and steady approach from Weibo, and it's working very well thus far.
I think it's also, you need really time for Kingen now to come online into this matchup against Breathe. So the range advantage that Breathe has to start chipping away at these turrets is going to become very noticeable. Even Showmaker versus Xiaohu. Xiaohu can still get a lot of push in the matchup against Aurora, so you do have a lot of champions that can get value from this 6 Void Grub buff, and Weibo, you can see already, definitely taking full advantage of that.
Yep, Breathe should be able to at least grab some plates from this one. Him and Light, gold leaders at this point in time. Showmaker may actually have his back stopped as well. Yeah, the last second boulder going to come through and deny the back from the Aurora. That means another wave does taxi on in, and this should just be first turret blood going on over to Weibo. They even teleport in to try and make sure that this one's going down because they want to be able to get themselves an inner off the back of this as well.
Yeah, Xiaohu had also been zoned away from that bot side turret. You could look at where Lucid and Moham were. They were fully attacking that bottom half. So Xiaohu says, look, I'm never going to be able to get access to this wave, so I'm just going to come top instead and see if we can use the 6 Void Grub buff to get 2 towers off the back. That's such a massive gold injection for Weibo.
Yeah, this is huge. Moham and Lucid are making their way in, though. Tarzan already softened up just a little bit. The hook just barely going to work out as Between Worlds coming down from Showmaker does get the flash out, as now this huge knockup from Crisp is massive, and down goes the Nocturne and the Nautilus. Showmaker not long for the world as well as Xiao, who knocks him up and cuts him down. Aiming tries to get in there, gets one of them back, could be another. The flash out of the way, the headbutt is gorgeous. They still get the turret, they still get the kills, but Aiming is now fed.
The focus was the tower, but now I'm looking at the hands of both these teams. That was sick from Aiming, being able to dodge away from so much of this, but also Crisp surprising DK over the wall, setting up for Breathe in that brilliant arrow. But every time we get these fights, it feels like Weibo get a chance to sneak away another objective, and it's the Rift Tower that will go their way, but hook from Moham goes wide. The Between Worlds, Xiaohu flashes away, but Crisp with a Hex Flash over the wall, gets on towards Lucid and Moham, knocks Lucid back immediately into the Mega Gnar. So both Moham go down thanks to that extra little bit of damage from the Ezreal loads, and Showmaker's just kind of left alone for Xiaohu to finish off. But Aiming here, this was gorgeous. Finishes off one, flashes the headbutt pulverize from Crisp, uses the Void Missile, so doesn't even need vision in the brush, and manages to finish off one more.
Yeah, Showmaker Lucid praying for an opportunity to get back into this game because things not going so well in that fight. I think pressure on these rookies, of course, Lucid and Moham. Moham having a little bit more experience, having played here and there in the LCK, but never at this level. These are two players that are relatively untested and absolutely untested when it comes to the world stage, especially for Moham, who has only recently joined this team as Paranoia does come down. There's a hook landing! That's my boy Moham, as they will be able to get the kill onto the Brand. Lucid still taking a lot of damage for it because Brand just does so much. But now Showmaker might be in an awkward position. Between Worlds coming through as he uses it to escape here. True Shot Barrage going to be landing as well. The Hyper has been stacked up. One more auto from Breathe is going to do it. And Showmaker trying to get there, but he does not manage to avoid that last one. The Mega Gnar is going to be able to lock down the kill, and now teleport from Kingen to get himself towards this bottom side. Feels like Weibo are finding ways to trade up in all of these situations, and this feels like the biggest gold advantage that we've seen for a team, especially with 2 Drakes stacked up and 6 Void Grubs.
Yeah, DK tried everything to just break Weibo on that play. TP in Showmaker, try and get a pick, try and get top tower, and suddenly get a ton of gold back in your favor, but Weibo just had many people in position, and then the push for Xiaohu on that bottom side as well meant that they could threaten the tower. They get the TP from Kingen too. As you say, it's just Weibo having these small advantages where they're constantly trading up. Now with Dragon up and available, DK already in position, reset for a Breathe. He's going to have to TP onto one of these wards if he wants to be a factor.
Yeah, Tarzan going to be able to get the smite on the Crab as well, so some extra vision available here for Weibo. As Infernal Soul as well, we haven't even really spoken about it. As Crisp going to get hit by a Duskbringer, doesn't really mind about that one at all, but Soul Point is a big deal.
Showmaker's ultimate is nearly up and available, had to use it to escape, so doesn't actually have it available for this fight, and I think that's why DK just don't feel comfortable taking this scrap. Also top wave not in their favor, so Weibo get 3 dragons with little contest from DK.
Absolutely nothing they could do about it. And Soul Point, just such a big deal. We talk about it all the time. Didn't even need to put down the Rift Herald, which is now just thrown in here as there's the fate sealed, and the catch is beautiful. Lucid nowhere to go. That's going to be the lockdown. Between Worlds comes in, Light trying to get himself out. It's a fair bit of damage, but they're not able to finish off any of these kills. Is now Kingen trying to run his way out. Decent mitigation of some of it, but that X-Tech ultimatum is one that they're happy to take any day of the week. They'll take down the Camille, and DK are floundering now.
Weibo are just catching DK as they try to set up these plays. There was a great flank coming through from Kingen and started to move in at the back of Dragon Pit, but Lucid gets caught. He goes for the all-in anyway, and there's just too many health bars and gold on the members of Weibo to really distract them.
Depth charge to come on through here. Showmaker trying to at least follow up, but not able to get into position, and feels like clutching at straws here just a little bit. DK, they were answering a lot of aggression in game number 1. This feels like they're throwing themselves at the problem and not quite figuring it out.
I don't really know how they try and stop the bleeding is the problem. Again, the 6 Void Grubs making it very difficult to really try and push back against the onslaught that is Breathe right now. This Gnar has been absolutely spectacular so far, but Xiaohu's been able to pick up a ton of kills. You have the Trinity Force and very close to your Merman completed for Light as well. You're just slipping further and further behind, and DK are a couple that need to go in, so they have no other choice.
Yeah, and the problem is that it feels like you need to remove Tarzan from the fight just because he does so much consistent damage. But if they do that, he still does a lot of damage, and the rest of Weibo are going to kill DK anyway. I don't know what the answer is to this one. And you can see that DK are struggling to figure it out as well, but they're going to have to if they want to find their way back into this game. Then a 6,000, well, more like a 5,000 gold advantage is going to be hard to overcome by any stretch of the imagination. 2 items now coming in for aiming. Does have his Rage Blade complete. Wants that Nashal's Tooth before he's feeling really comfortable, and we know that this guy is very, very good at utilizing his Kai'Sa in the later stages of the game. Just don't know whether it's going to get to a relevant point where the fight's going to be honest enough for him to be able to perform.
I think you can see what DK are trying to do, though. It's, hey, we pushed out bot side a bit Kingen. Let's try and move him up and look for an all-in brawl with Lucid being able to follow up with an ultimate, but it's just so difficult. I actually think they should be going for nearly the reverse, where try and play for a Kingen pick on side with Lucid, and then you have Kingen to TP to wherever Weibo try and do the cross map. But you can see in this position, as long as Weibo are playing safe, it's very difficult to lock down Light, or honestly even Crisp as well, when he's got that Alistair ultimate.
Yeah, you can see Lucid actually pretty deep in enemy territory, going for a recall now, but was able to get some reconnaissance work done. Chris walking towards his control ward, they will be able to clear that one out. Now control of this Baron area is pretty absolute from Weibo. One ward, that one tricksy little ward there, is going to be able to spot the rest of Weibo as they're moving over. Aiming will be able to secure the red buff here for his team, as Crisp avoids that poke damage outside of the Duskbringer, as the Baron has been started. Vision was there for DK. They know that this is happening, but do they have an answer for it is the question. Xiaohu taking a fair bit of damage, wants to get over that wall, gets the knock up. There's the Pillar of Flame. It's nicely done. Lucid tries to spell shield the True Shot Barrage that wasn't actually going to connect. They do get the control ward in. Decent knockups coming through, but they just back away. They just hold strong, and Weibo, they leave the Baron Pit. Man, this is such measured play from this team, not wanting to risk it.
But DK now have access to mid lane and a potential for that bounty on the tower. Kingen constantly keeping Breathe pushed out. I think they should be able to get some damage, but maybe not take it. It looks like Light should be in a position to hold.
That was a weird situation. Yeah. I normally expect them to just fight, and then they just didn't. And I don't know whether it necessarily works out, but I'm confused. And I like it. Okay. See where we're going to get a bit of a turnaround. 50 seconds on this Infernal Drake. And honestly, I think if Weibo get that Baron, it's good. But flipping for it is not. Because they've got this fight to work around when it comes to the Dragon. They have Soul Point. They don't care if DK gets one of them. But getting Infernal Soul is a gigantic deal. And accelerating the Elder Drake is going to be huge as well. So no real need to take the risk. So I do kind of understand the Baron.
Yeah, I did think, though, that we'd end up seeing is that you get the Gnar who's going to push in on top side and basically has to be answered by the Aurora because she's the only one with TP because they got that TP out from Kingen. But Gnar is currently grouped with the rest of the team, so it looks like Weibo just feel confident enough to take the full-on fight rather than looking for a trade for an inhibitor on top side.
Well, now the setup for the Soul begins. Kingen looking for that flank angle, spotted immediately by the Scryer's Bloom. The flanking aiming is set up at the same time. Decent vision here for both teams as the Rift Scuttler will be secured by Weibo. Kingen on that flank, taking a fair bit of damage here. Does have to hookshot his way out of 50% health now. No teleport available. Still going to look for a reset. Wants to be able to try and book it towards this battle. Already you can see this dragon has been started. Weibo taking a bit of damage off to the side here though. Crisp down relatively low. And yeah, Kingen actually completed the recall. So this could be actually a flank opportunity perhaps, but there is vision here for Weibo. They'll know what's going on. The Void Seeker's starting to hurt. Breathe on a ward, but the Nabard's good, and that is going to be the Infernal Soul picked up. Showmaker over the wall. Lucid, nothing he can do. He's just cut down where he stands. Still managed to get the light switch before he did die, but Moham has to flash his way out. Is he going to survive? The answer is yes, but on about 0 health, and now Kingen is just going to be dived after. Might survive as well. So they do hold on to their lives, but the damage is being done. That's Infernal Soul.
And potentially Baron. Weibo have already got pushed. They're still healthy and maybe looking to stop the resets. Won't quite get it, but no jungler available. Weibo just get Baron off the back as well.
Yeah, it's a disaster here, and with Lucid down for another 10 seconds, there was no way they were going to contest. And so on top of the fact that they get Infernal Soul, they'll also be able to augment it with the purple buff, and now we're going to move towards a gigantic advantage as far as the money is concerned. Weibo are going to look like a freight train.
But that's the thing, this is so much more controlled from Weibo. You look at the last game, it was Mist Orianna combos with that Nocturnal. Nobody really seemed on the same page. They couldn't figure out how to play through Light Strength, but this is so much more measured. Sure, it was a bit of a flip on the take, but Weibo knew they'd have the team fight afterwards, especially as the Camille had to reset. Lucid goes down, nearly getting this great ultimate, but it was flashed away from aiming for the Breathe, but finishing off the Baron and now Soul. This has got to be the end for DK.
It should be, even though there were these miraculous escapes. Doesn't stop the fact that Weibo are just picking up every single objective on this map. They got 6 grubs, they got the Herald, they got every dragon, and now they've got the Baron. DK, like that list beneath the gold number is very short.
We've lost King. Okay, he's back. No, but yeah, I think this is where you kind of are scratching for anything. Like,
Ariel mới, tôi lớn hơn, giá không nổi.
again, though, I think you're running out of options. The moment where you could have tried to make some sort of play around Kingen is kind of gone now, especially against someone like Xiaohu. He's just way too strong. And if you ever do, the ability for Weibo to just tear through your structures is so insane.
Oh, it's ridiculous. That is going to be some bounty gold going over, so maybe a silver lining there, but you can see here, after that does fall, the Rebel Baron power play does dip for a second and now goes back up to 2k as that inner turret is taken. Aiming takes most of his health bar from one True Shot Barrage and is denied a recall, so the base is going to get broken open. Just looks like DK have no real response to what's going on here. The inhibitor going to fall down, they at least clear the mid wave. The top lane wave is also very far away from DK's base, so it looks like this is reset time. 2.6k on the Rebel Baron power play is nothing to scoff at, and they've got an 8,000 gold lead now and Infernal Soul. So much money worth of stats now available to Weibo, especially after they go back and spend it all.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if they want to go back and spend it all. Breathe has immediately moved up towards this top side, so this is a little greedy from Weibo. They are sitting on a lot of gold, but want to try and use the last minute of this Baron buff, but it looks like they will eventually just back away, but you kind of just missed your reset window, and DK realizes.
Yeah, Voidseeker is going to come through, just barely missing the backside of the Alistar. Lucid not going to go for anything overly aggressive. DK now given a little bit of respite, but I just don't think it's going to be there for long. There's King in here towards this bottom side, just trying to get himself towards relevance, but we just haven't seen DK being able to get any sort of fight to go the way that they want it to. We haven't seen what this composition is built for.
Well, it's when you're so far in the hole, it's impossible to try to fight your way out. You have to dive in as Nocturne, Camille, even the Aurora, and you just don't have that firepower to really lock or follow up on any of the lockdown from Showmaker. And this position, Weibo are just getting to play through the strengths of, well, we have very good team fights, we have great threat on side lanes, and Light is just untouchable as DK scrambled to hold on to the map.
Well, Aiming just got a 35 gold lead. So there we go. Woo! He's the only one with anything of that nature. 2.5k for both jungle and mid here on Weibo's side. Xiaohu and Tarzan eating good in this game number 2 as now they push down this top wave. Try to break the base on the other side as well. Throwing houses around his Breathe. I just don't know whether DK can stop this siege from happening. They're going to have to go for some sort of all-in as Kingen makes his way back. The tower does fall down. Now DK with 5 are going to look to try and push this one out. The anchor not going to hit the target once again here from Mohan, but fortunately for him, it doesn't hit terrain as well. Now Showmaker bouncing around, does go into stealth here as there is the Between Worlds. The ulti out from Xiaohu is going to come through. He gets knocked up, but there's no
Crisp!
Oh! The headbutt pole flash comes through from Crisp, and he's knocking 3 of them up, but it's just the inhibitor that goes down. This is almost too measured from Weibo. They only want objectives. They're like, stay alive, DK, and just watch your Nexus fall.
I don't know what sort of shellacking they got in the back. They are not looking at kills at all. It is, we are here to win this game. The only thing that wins this game is objectives. We will take every objective, and thus far, it has been very measured, very by the book. And I mean, if they just take that mid inhibitor, that is every objective that they have gotten on this map so far.
And when was the last kill that they picked up? I feel like it's been 10-4 for a really long time. Wasn't last game. 10's telling me that maybe there was something that happened, but it does feel a little bit like a distant memory at this point in time. There have been fights though, plenty of fights, just not a lot of killing. So it's just, it's perplexing. That's what both of these teams are, to be perfectly honest.
Lads, you are very separated here for DK.
Yeah. There are a couple of teleports available for both Kingin and Showmaker, but they might have to use them pretty soon as Weibo are closing in. I think they've realized that maybe some kills are okay, as DK double teleport is on the cards. It's only Showmaker that makes his way in first, as Kingin thinking about a potential flank. And Weibo are still not really pulling the trigger. They don't really have to. They're just keeping DK in position as the Elder has just spawned, and they have the inside track to get over there. Xiaohu setting up for some sort of engage angle as there's the ulti. They've caught Showmaker and he just explodes. Nothing he can do about it. Now the late teleport from King and 2 already dead. Xiaohu out of there. Lucid also going to be dead. This is so clean from Weibo. The X-Tech ultimatum comes in aiming, trying to do all of that cool stuff, but the wallets are so heavy and Weibo will push down. They'll destroy the Nexus and they'll take us to a game 3.
It is a clean ace and a clean showing from Weibo Gaming. They dismantled DK in this game and pushed us to game number 3.
I swear, it's almost too clean, Dagda. And
I don't know who this is.
I didn't think that I'd be saying that phrase in this particular series, but it was gorgeous League of Legends here from Weibo Gaming as they do take down the Nexus in game number 2. DK, they're gonna have to pick themselves back up after that one and see what they can do in the 3rd deciding game between these teams.
Yeah, I mean, every so often, you just kind of get these games from Weibo. Like, I remember game 1 versus JDG in regional finals as well. They just clean macro, incredibly cool, but we're gonna have to wrap this one up as we toss it over to a quick break and we find out what's gonna happen in game number 3.
Red Bull gives you wings.